you do when I sleep on Christmas Eve. But it's amazing. Hey everyone, hi, my name is Melissa McClary Davis and welcome to Wise Digital Marketing's Q&A, weekly Q&A, take two. If you were here a little earlier today, we had a technical difficulty. Our internet just kind of crashed, so we had to reschedule. But if you're not, you're just catching the replay, you catch the replay. Hey, and if you are watching the replay, just put in the comments, hashtag replay. I appreciate that. But what we do here is every week, I've been doing most of this quarter, is answering questions that I get from folks who I've talked to during the week and also with my clients. But I want to do something different this week. I wanted to actually talk about some of my favorite things, my favorite resources that I've used in 2020. I did the same thing last year where I had like my favorite resources from 2019. And so I wanted to redo that for this year and tell you some things that, you know, maybe this could help you, some resources that would help you with your life, with your business, with your position, with your job. So I want to get into that. But before I do that, let me just ask a question. How are you doing? Let me ask you, how are you doing? It is 6 days before Christmas. It's a busy Saturday if you are watching this live. Maybe you'll watch it later this week, but it's the holidays. It's right around the corner. And how are you feeling? I know this has been such a tough 2020, and the holidays are hitting a lot differently this year than most. I mean, everybody's pretty much in a stay-at-home order, and so Christmas is a little bit fluid, or the holidays a little bit fluid to me. I mean, yeah, today's Saturday, you know, but every day is kind of rubbing together. I know that running together. I know you guys probably feel the same way, but I just wanted to just ask how you were doing and just to let you know, hey, if you're not doing well, then that's normal. I think we're all sort of like really taking it one day at a time. And sometimes if that doesn't work, it's 1 hour at a time. That kind of works. But I just want to let you know, if you think that you should be doing things, or if you feel like you haven't done a lot and it's around the holidays, grant yourself some grace. It's okay if you just don't worry and try to take on a lot of things. If you have a business and you had wanted to do a bunch of stuff around the holidays that didn't work out, that's okay. It's understandable. And yes, the things that you might want to do to kind of help move your business along, over the next couple of weeks, maybe it will help, maybe it won't. But just know this, that you are here. If you're healthy, you know, be grateful for that. And just know 2021 is around the corner. So we can kind of start anew, start refreshed, and just kind of take it easy. Take it easy. So I just wanted just to put a virtual hug for people to, you know, don't stress yourself out. Enjoy the holidays and take some time for yourself and just think about yourself. So, and I said that piece. Let's get into these favorite things. So I'm going to share my screen and kind of show you a little bit of some of my favorite things that I used. I thought there were a lot. I like them. You should see my screen. Hopefully you can. I should be up in a corner somewhere as well. You can see my face. But here's some of my favorite business things that I appreciate. And then you can download this if you want. If you go to my website and click the resources tab in the menu, you could get a copy of this. But let's start with my favorite book. What was my favorite book this past year? All right, so there's this book called Black Fortunes. It's a wonderful book by Shamari Willis. It is a book talking about the first 6 African-American millionaires in the United States. So this is like back at the turn of the century, late 1800s, early 1900s. And it really goes into the story with these 6 millionaires and what they had to do to overcome and to become millionaires. And it's such a great read, you know, for a nonfiction book. And it talks about those millionaires. Maybe you may have heard of some, especially from an African-American standpoint, because there was a show out this year for Madam C.J. Walker. That's one well-known one. That's something that kind of pulls up in the history books. But there's a few others. I have a list of like a couple, like Mary Pleasant. Mary Pleasant she was something. She was so impactful that what she did in terms of the money that she did and how she was just making her millions. She founded the city of Pleasanton, California. She basically, was very intentional with her dollars as an African American woman, as a woman too, because it was her money, not her husband's. It was very interesting in how she lived her life. Robert Reed Church, that was another one. Very interesting, and what he did, especially in like the Tulsa area, the St. Louis area. I highly recommend the book. I actually listened to the book on Audible. I would. It's a great listen. It's interesting how they don't really just go and like, let's talk about this millionaire, and then they tell you the story. Let's talk about this one. No, they interweave all of them six at the same time, so they go back and forth, and how they kind of the challenges that they have in their lives, and like I mentioned before, Madam C.J. Walker's in it, and so it's really interesting to kind of hear from this standpoint, like what they had to do to amass this fortune, and then what happened to them, with their fortune. I mean, it's inspirational, as well as there's some things that are tragic, but I think the big thing is you can get across of that is the resourcefulness of it. So I highly recommend that book. Next up, one thing, my favorite app. All right, so some of you may have used this app, LastPass. It is a password manager. I've used some. I have like my Google Password Manager I use, but what I appreciate about this app, especially if you're in business and you need to use resources, maybe you're using contractors or a virtual assistant or someone that needs to get into your systems, but you're not comfortable giving them your password, or you don't have the plan that requires you to add new users because that either increases your software costs. This is a great app that you could use because you can create basically a share function within Last Manager, so you could give it to somebody and they can get into your system without having your own personal login and password. It'll kind of mask it, so they can still use it, but they'll mask your own login and password so they can get into your systems and be able to do what necessary needs to be done without you having to like come up with like, okay, add this user, okay, delete this user. It's all done through LastPass, so I highly recommend it. There's a free version, and there's also a paid version, but it's relatively cheap. LastPass has been around for a while. I've used it in the past, and I stopped using it, but I appreciate this feature because that's one of the concerns that I think a lot of people, especially the solopreneurs out there, if you're listening, if you are doing your business by yourself, and you're concerned about someone coming in and using your account information, this is a great way to really isolate that and get that person onto your system, as well as your email system or your CRM system, or even your social media platforms, without feeling like, oh, I have to give up your ID and passwords, for privacy standpoint. So that's a great tool, a resource. Another resource that I have here is my favorite note-taking tool. I had one last year, which I still love and use, which is Evernote. But this year, I'm going to say, Google Keep. Google Keep is a wonderful tool. I am a Google gal. I have an Android, and I know some of you iPhone folks may have some note-taking tool that you think is great, but really, I think YouTube is or Google is much better in terms of a tool. What I like about Google Keep is that there's voice recording, because if you're on the go and you may not have a piece of pen or paper, you can use it on your phone, and then it shows up on your laptop. It's all in one place, so it's in the cloud. You could use it in a variety of places. I like the fact that it is integrated into like Gmail, so you could use it for, like, a good example is I have like a list of links. You know how you have different links that you constantly refer to or use over again, or you send out to people, and you need them in a spot that's quick and easy to get to. So with the notes, I have like a list of links that I can grab and throw into an email very quickly, or better yet, I have a list of hashtags, right? So you're creating a post, and you're creating a post on the fly, and you want to list some of the hashtags, especially if it's like an Instagram post. I have a list of variety of different hashtags that I like to use. I could cut and paste really quickly with this note-taking tool. So I highly recommend Google Keep for your note-taking tool. One of my favorite business softwares, I recommended this to a number of people this year. I think it's great. It's called Descript. Descript. It is I think it's a great software that helps you if you're the type of person like me who is so used to doing textual editing. You know how you edit like a document, you edit a Word document. It allows you to do that with your videos. Like, for example, this video I'm doing, this live, will eventually become a video. And what you could do, I can download that whole video and put it into Descript. And Descript will basically take that video and it will transcribe it into text. So that's one great feature. It's so you could take you could transcribe it. So that way, if you want to, you could then add like closed captioning very easily to some of your videos, which I think is great. So that's one wonderful thing. The other thing is that it will transcribe into text. And then in the text, you could go and edit the text and then we'll edit the video. So if you're not, or if you are frustrated with video editing, sometimes I am, and you're splicing, you're cutting, you go in here and like edit like you would do a document, and it will cut it for you. And so it's a great tool. I love Descript. There is a free version of it as well as there's a paid version of it. I highly recommend it to you, especially if you're doing a lot of video editing or transcribing, and you want to do it very effectively and quickly and not send it off to someone. I highly recommend you use this type of tool. It's a client serving tool, so you download it to your laptop to use it. Yet there's some collaboration that does happen in the cloud as well. So Descript. My favorite business conference. Okay, so last year, my conference that I went to that was one of my favorite is Social Media Marketing World. I love that conference. It's in San Diego. It was the last conference I went to until everything got shut down. Literally, the last day of that conference was March 1st. I think it was also the last major conference in the United States because there was like over 6,000 people there. I think after that, everything started to shut down because of COVID. And I love that conference. But this year, there was another conference that was supposed to happen live. And you notice that some conferences had to migrate to virtual. One of them was Detroit Startup Week. I'm a Detroit gal, and I highly recommend this conference, even if you don't live in Detroit, because Startup Week, they're in about 40 different cities and as well as overseas. But it is a great conference for new budding entrepreneurs. It is free. It helps you. You will talk to a variety of people in the area that will give you tips and techniques and training on what it's like to be an entrepreneur, a small business owner. There's a huge technology bed in terms of how to understand how to receive funding, pitch contest, how to learn to pitch effectively for your funding for your business. The businesses range from, it could be a mom and pop grocery store all the way to a technical application, and a variety of, we all come together and just embrace the business and embrace being a entrepreneur or a small business owner and learning for free. So it's very community driven. Even the courses that they have, or the sessions that they have, is all community determined and focused. I taught a session at the last one around marketing and how to market on a budget, for like $200, $2,000 or $20,000. And it's a great way to meet people. There's a networking aspect to it as well. And they pull it online. Detroit was the first one virtually. And I think they went across in different cities and actually had virtual ones as well. It'll be interesting to see what we're going to do in 2021, but I highly recommend. And because it was virtual, anybody across the country can come. I know at my session, there was people from Africa, people from Italy who were involved. And it's really embracing the folks, who are just like you, who are either budding entrepreneurs, new startups, or existing businesses that need support, for existing small businesses that need some sort of support. So I highly recommend Detroit Startup Week. Just look up startupnation.com and you should be able to find one in your area. And then you also find podcasts and other things around that. And then lastly, which is related to that, is now that a lot of events have moved online, some of the major ones, there's some that are still, the jury's still out. This is just a favorite meeting software tool. I mean, we're all zoomed out. I know we're all kind of zoomed out, right? Everybody knows how to work Zoom, which is great for those meetings. But if you're putting on an event and maybe you had to cancel your event because of COVID, but you're looking to think about doing it virtually next year, just to be on the safe side because you're still not sure, I highly recommend Hoppin. Hoppin to me is the meeting event software like Zoom. It's very easy to use. It helps you create those different meeting rooms, breakout rooms. There's networking involved. You can create a panel. You can have a guest speaker. There's a lot of triggers within the software behind the scenes to remind people when the next event's coming up, when the next session is. And it's reasonably priced. And I love the story behind the founder of Hoppin. The founder of Hoppin basically was housebound. I think he's from the UK, and he was housebound for some reason. This was like 8-9 years ago, and he was in business development and sales, and for some reason he couldn't get out and do sales. So he had to figure out a way to meet people when you cannot leave the house. And so, I think he was housebound because of some sort of illness. And so he created this technology that will allow people to meet, right? So you can kind of hop on to things. And then, he had this technology and it's been kind of, humming along, but it exploded this year, obviously, because of COVID. I mean, I think it grossed maybe it grew like 5,000% in terms of number of users, and that's because there was such a need for it. What makes this a little bit different than some of the other softwares, if you've done on virtual conferences, you've been them all, you've seen them all. This one's just so easy to use. It's sort of like Zoom for people who have never used video conferencing in the past. It's just fairly simple, straightforward, very simple interface. And so I highly recommend that. None of these tools that I'm recommending to you, I really don't have an affiliate with them. Usually if I would have done that in the past, but go ahead. I just, if you want to download the resources so you can at least get the name of it, Hoppin, I think it's hoppin.co, and kind of go to that. So those are the major resources. Let me stop sharing that I wanted to share with you guys. Those are the favorite things that kind of got me through 2020 in terms of just making sure that I'm working and not missing a beat, working with my clients and then working with potential prospects and clients as well. So if you are interested, here, I'll go ahead and put it in the chat. Again, you can just go out to my website and you can find it. It's in the resources tab. It's just a download PDF. But those are some resources that I think you might like. And next time, I just wanted to let you know, I'm trying to be back next week. I know that it's like the Christmas week, but hey, like I said, Christmas is kind of fluid. I'm not going anywhere. So next week I'm going to talk about trends. That's been a lot of I've seen a lot of articles in terms of what are some of the major digital marketing trends for 2021 that you need to think about. I'm collecting all the articles. I've seen them all. I'm going to post some on my social media, but I want to share with you to save you the time for looking. And I want to break it down into depending on the size of your business, what trends will work, because some of the articles trends are like for your big, medium-sized businesses. And I'm really focused on the small business owner and the ones that, are budget strapped and what they need to look out for and what they should focus on in 2021 to grow their business. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be next week, and then hopefully we'll get through. We'll be in 2021, and we'll continue with another series. I'll keep my weekly Q&A. I'll probably do a little more of that. Maybe not as weekly, but I may change the platform. I'm thinking about that, so I'll share that with you as well. But if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. Leave something in the comment. I will be happy to answer any questions that you may have. And if you don't hear from me or see me, have a wonderful holiday. Merry Christmas. Have a wonderful time over these next 6 days. Take it easy. Take some time. And God bless to you and your family. I wish you all well. I wish you all good health. And see you next time. Bye.